Hey guys, how you all doing? In this video, I will give you an advanced guide for Remnant from the Ashes, where you will be prepared for starting the game, for the end game, and of course, not to get your own ass kicked. But before we start, spoiler warning, I will spoil the biome areas and story-wise only the mid-section, so you have been warned. First, we quickly go through the basic mechanics. This means leveling, weapons, gear, enemies, items, and all that other stuff. Then I'm going to talk about enemy scaling, how it works with the leveling, upgrading, and co-op. And as final, talking about the overall end game, what to expect from it, and what there is to do after you have completed the game. You can choose between 3 starting classes. It really doesn't matter which one you pick, because after the in-game tutorial, you can buy all the stuff from the other classes with scrap anyway. Only thing here is to pick up the traits you want, because you won't be able to buy that one later. Best one is to pick the cultist, because the traits you will get will let your mods recharge faster, and mods make this game much easier. How leveling works in the game goes as follows. You will get specific traits what give a passive bonus to your character. These traits will be rewarded from quests, hidden secrets, defeating enemies, and also collecting certain items. You can upgrade these traits with trait points. You will get them by gaining XP. You will get one each time you get 1500 XP, or can be obtained from a Tomb of Knowledge, what can be found randomly throughout the game in areas. All traits are permanent unlocked once you get them, and each trait can be leveled up to 20 times. As of right now, how it is in the game. If you want to reset your points, what you put into the traits, you can use a Orb of Undoing to reset all the points what can be bought from Reggie after you beat the game, and you also get one after you defeat the final boss. There are 3 weapon categories in the game: handguns, long guns, and melee weapons. Handguns and long guns will have their own type of ammo, so you will need to make sure to switch out weapons to save ammo so you won't be running out. Explains for itself really. The types of guns you can use in the game vary from long range to close range. For your melee, you can choose between different types of weapons, but melee isn't really that useful in the game. It is just better to use your guns. The only melee weapons you should be using are the ones that have a mod in them. These are the boss melee weapons. Weapon mods will serve as abilities you can use by putting them into your weapons, and when you take down enemies, the bar of the mod will be filled up, and when it is full, you can use it. Weapon mods are extremely useful to take down enemies very quickly, or can be of great use by supporting you with buffs and also for your teammates. The boss weapons in the game, what have to be crafted, have a standard built-in mod what can't be switched out, and also the melee boss weapons also have a built-in mod, where normally standard melee weapons don't have the option to have a mod in them. Your armor will give you standard damage reduction and resistant to certain status effects, or weakens your resistance to them, but armor also comes with a set bonus, a passive buff what comes with the armor. The bonus gets increased if you wear multiple armor of the same set. Every armor has a weight, so the more you armor weights, the less effective your roll will be, but for that there is a trick to bypass it. With the backstab dodge, it is the same for every weight, so it doesn't matter what armor you use if you use this dodge. But I hate to use this dodge, so I like to roll, so I get armor what doesn't weight that much. There are 7 status effects in the game as of right now. These are bleeding, what will inflict damage over time and reduces your healing effect by half. This can be healed with a bandage. Fire, here you will be set on fire and you will take damage over time. To get rid of the fire, you can dodge to make it go away, or you can use a hydro coolant to remove it as well. Root rot, here you will be coughing at random times to cancel your actions, but you'll still be able to dodge when you cough, so you can still survive. And drink a oil skin tonic to remove it. Radiation, this halves your stamina bar, and to remove this you can use a heavy water elixir. Shock and overload, here you will cause damage to change from you to enemies and other players, and when you are overloaded and get hit by another electric attack, it will cause an explosion. To remove this effect you can use a ethereal orb. Corrosive, this will reduce the effectiveness of your armor, and this can be healed with a green leaf. All these status effects can be dealt by certain types of enemies and also can be dealt to them with certain weapons and mods. This can be really useful to take them down. In the game, you will find upgrade material to upgrade your weapons and armor to make them stronger. Every standard equipment can be upgraded to 20 and the crafting equipment up to 10. The upgrade materials can be found in biomes. Iron can be found randomly within the areas, and you will get better versions of the iron the higher your gear is upgraded. Besides iron for crafting weapons, when you defeat bosses, you will gain a crafting items from them. With this you can craft a weapon or a mod, and you will need luminite crystals to craft them, what are dropped from elite enemies and biomes, and you get them also from beating bosses. Plus you will also need these crystals to upgrade the boss equipment, what you crafted. For every equipment to reach it to max level, you will need a simulacrum crystal, what is very rare right now, and you can find one in each of the 4 areas in the game, so you have to reroll the campaign or the areas with adventure mode. It is easier to farm these in adventure mode because they are much faster to complete them than doing it in a campaign. If you worry about not being able to find a lesser iron material anymore because you have too high gear, don't be. You can buy each type of iron eventually from Ace, so you will have enough to upgrade all your gear, and there's also a chance you can buy crystals there. Also, a side note, if players in your world sell stuff to her, you can buy that item from her. It is like a sort of trading. For consumables, your main healing item is your Dragon Heart, what can be upgraded up to 7 times at the root mother, but you need a simulacrum crystal, what are still very rare to obtain. But I recommend upgrading your Dragon Hearts a bit first with these crystals before using them to max your weapons out. You will be needing the Dragon Hearts the most, and you probably won't reach your weapon's highest level in the first few runs you do in the game, so it is better to use them to upgrade the Dragon Heart first. For the status effects consumables, we already talked about them, but they also give you a more resistant to the status effect for 10 minutes. There are also buff consumables found at merchants, what can be used to give you a passive bonus, what will last an hour of playtime and will still be up after you have died, so this is also very useful. The rings and amulets, they serve as passive bonuses by equipping them. You can obtain them by finding them randomly in biomes or from quests you complete in the game. There are 6 realm biomes in the game right now, but Ward 13 and Labyrinth don't really count, so there are 4 realms. These are Earth, Rome, Yesha, and Corsus. Here you will be spending your time the most. How they are set up goes as follows. You will have a general path through each biome from start to finish with some checkpoints throughout the biome. When you go through the biome, there are going to be side dungeons to find secrets and boss rooms to fight bosses. And at the very end, a final boss to each realm. And that is all randomized after every reroll. So you will get a other layout of the realm and also other checkpoints, dungeons and bosses. But there's still a chance you get the same one you got before because, you know, RNG is an asshole. And it can be pretty annoying. In each biome, you will encounter different variations of enemies. On Earth, you will be fighting the Root. On Rome, the Buri tribesmen. For Yesha, the Pan. And on Cursus, the Ishkal. In all these areas, you will face regular normal enemies and elite enemies who have more health and deal more damage. Facing an elite enemy will let you hear a sound it spotted you and also let you know when an elite enemy is down. For the bosses, there will be variations of dungeon bosses. They're basically an upgraded version of a regular enemy or a elite enemy with some extra attacks. For the realm bosses, they are unique and have their own mechanics. With each boss you take down, you can get a crafted item for mods, weapons, and also melee weapons if you completed an extra objective in the realm boss before taking it down. So now I'm going to talk about enemy level scaling. What is kind of vague, to be honest, right now, but it is affected by your gear level and not from your traits, what makes upgrading your gear pointless. But let me explain how it works. So it goes with a weighted average from your gear level, so it picks up your highest upgraded weapons and armor in each slot to determine your average level. So if you have a long gun, what is +8 and the other long guns you have aren't upgraded, it will pick the highest one even though it is not equipped. Same goes for the other gear. This makes it really annoying to try out new gear if you already got too high gear upgraded. But they didn't really explain how the average is calculated by the gear if they have different levels. So I just say for now that we pick all gear what is the same level. So when you have all your gear +15, by the way, side note, each point from a upgraded boss weapon counts as 2. So now your overall gear score is 15, so your level will be 16. It will always add you one more level from the gear score. So enemies in the areas are going to be level 17 because enemies will always be one level higher when you go to a new area, reroll the campaign or create an adventure, because then your gear score gets calculated again. And for enemies, it will always add one more level to them from your own current level. The max gear score you can get is 20 because that is when you have all your gear maxed out. So now your own level will be 21 and for the enemies it will be 22. So this makes it that your gear is just pointless to upgrade in the long run because you have to upgrade all your gear if you want to use it in your current level. It also fucks up the co-op scaling because players now have to be the same level as you to even do damage or do too much damage because they are higher level than you. And the co-op scaling will also give the enemies more health, damage, and will spawn more enemies, so it can be pretty hard when playing with friends. But they said they're going to update the co-op scaling, but they didn't tell when, so it's still coming, I guess. Also for the difficulty settings, normal, hard, and nightmare are unaffected by the scaling. Each difficulty will feel the same even though you have upgraded your gear. The only reason to make the difficulties easier is to level up your traits because they do not affect the level scaling. So hard still feels hard and nightmare still feels impossible even though you have high upgraded gear. Now I'm going to talk about the endgame. So you only need to play the campaign 2 times really. One is just from the start to end, probably your first playthrough, and for the other time up to when you get the Guardian's heart in courses, because there are 2 characters you can give the heart to get rewards. So in the story you will come across the Undying King and the Elf Queen, and they ask you to retrieve the heart for them. So you can choose to give it to the Undying King, so he will give you a melee weapon and the key to progress the story. Or you can kill him, not giving him the heart, and now you can get his crafting item, the Kingslayer trait, and the key, obviously, so you can continue the story. For the Elf Queen, if you give it to her, you will get a weapon and a armor set, but nothing happens if you don't give it to her. So who you gave the heart to in the first playthrough, now you have to do the opposite in the second playthrough, because then you can get all the items they will give you. And that is the only time you really need to play the story again. Further, I recommend doing adventures when you are trying to get a specific boss or dungeon to get specific items, quests, or whatever you're searching for. They are much faster because an adventure will reroll a biome without the story parts in them, so they're much faster to complete. You will only be able to reroll the biomes Earth, Rom, and Yesha right now, and not courses, because I think it's because the area is more story related and is fixed. But of course in time there will be more biomes added in the future, or even an extra campaign maybe. But time will tell what the devs will add for the future content. They already added a new dungeon and a boss fight on Earth, so there will definitely be more content added by the looks of it. For the rest, it is up to you what you do with the end game. Just re-rolling adventures, trying to get all the items, defeat all bosses, get all trophies or achievements, and maybe adjust the difficulty setting. to make it harder, but it doesn't really give you much extra rewards by completing it on harder difficulties, at least not yet anyway. But that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and if you did, don't forget to smash the like button. Also comment if you have some questions about the game, I will answer them, and subscribe for more guides about gaming. Follow me on social media as well. I will be more active there, where I share general gaming news and channel updates. But I thank you guys for watching. Now go get 'em.